Okay, let's talk paints, because when it comes to warehouse line marking, there are so many different products. Typically, you've got 2 parts, you've got single parts, you've got water-based, you've got UVs. In fact, the list of products you could install in your warehouse is, I don't know, I could probably name 50. And for each of those 50, I'll bet you could find 50 manufacturers for each product, all telling you their product's the best as well. So what do you do? Which product are you gonna pick? Well, to be honest, I cut it down to just 3 different products. I use a single part acrylic, I use a water-based system, and I use a 2-part epoxy. That's literally it. I don't offer any further choices. Now, each of those comes with their own benefits and of course their own cons. So starting at the bottom, you've got, let's say, a single part acrylic. That's really good for warehouse lines, walkways, pallet loading areas. Now, it's not something that a lot of people use because it's solvent-based and it does smell. So you need a well-ventilated area, ideally out of hours, and you've got to wear a face mask a lot of the time when you're installing it. Now, if you're gonna use a single part system, I would go for something a little bit thinner that's easier to apply, nothing too thick. We typically would use a Gaveko 3S Polycolor, like you see here. Now, as I say, it does smell, so you're gonna need those doors open, you're gonna need some great ventilation, probably gonna need to wear a respirator as well while you're installing it, but it does a fantastic job, leaves a really, really nice finish, and it's an awful lot cheaper than any of the other products in the market. The next one up that we offer is a water-based system, but importantly, what we're adding to this one is a UV sealer. So in this case, we've got the Rapid Shield UV sealer. And what this does, it takes a little bit longer to cure than, say, the solvent-based acrylic, but with the UV seal, it's absolutely amazing. In fact, you get an anti-slip finish with it that'll last for years. I would say this is probably my favorite product to use. So you could use it. You can actually get away using a solvent-based product underneath, but you do need to let the solvents fully evaporate before you do it. You don't want to be running a UV machine over something that's highly flammable. So that wouldn't be my recommendation. I would stick to a water-based product, nothing flammable about it, put that down, then put your UV sealer over the top. The last one, of course, is the 2-part epoxy. Now, we typically use KDR resin for our 2 parts. Again, loads and loads of manufacturers out there, all great with, great whatevers, great products, of course. But the biggest drawback I find with the 2-part is the curing time. Typically, everything we paint, whether it's single parts, whether it's paint or water-based paint, or whether it's 2-part epoxy, it's gonna take 2 coats minimum. And the problem with the 2-part is it's typically 18 to 24 hours per coat, which means for a place like this, yeah, that's gonna be a problem because they'd have to shut the entire area. It's also pretty expensive. On par, I'd say, with UV, but the time it takes, the labor, yeah, that adds up. So there you have it. Those are the 3 products that I would recommend.